I know most of you have already guessed it, but Oda pretty much confirmed that Sword and the Revolutionary Army are working together. Let me explain why, and what possible reason these two organizations, who are supposed to be complete opposites, have for unintentionally becoming allies. One Piece fandom often complain that Garp is a bad father or a bad grandfather. But is that really true? Dadan beat the hell out of Garp after hearing he let Ace die, accusing him of choosing his mission over his family. Garp couldn't even defend himself. Recently we learned that Garp actually saved Dragon from prison in a flashback chapter. So which one is the real Garp? Luffy said Garp tried to kill him many times, but in reality Garp was preparing Luffy for the harsh path ahead. Lines like, "Do it or Ace will die," and "There will be many things in life you won't want to do. I will show you no mercy," weren't cruelty, they were training. And in the end, he allowed Luffy to knock him down. So you're a father before a marine. When he heard Luffy defeated Moria, he was proud of his grandson. He wanted both Luffy and Dragon to join the Marines, not because he wanted to control them, but because he wanted to change the Marines from within and keep his family close enough to protect them. He deeply cares about both Dragon and Luffy. His lesson to Kobe, "Leave the old man to die, save the child," wasn't random. It shows how Garp always puts family and comrades before himself. Before God Valley, Garp only cared about fighting Roger, chasing him endlessly. But on God Valley, he had something else to protect, his comrades. But the real question is, how did he decide to do it? Garp is one of the founders of Sword, an organization that does not follow normal marine rules and can act independently. Sengoku and possibly even Otsuru are part of it as well. After God Valley, both Garp and Sengoku decided to act against the injustice they witnessed. But they chose very different approaches. Sengoku decided to rise within the marine hierarchy and try to change the organization from the top. Garp chose the opposite path. He refused every promotion because he wanted to remain free from the responsibilities and restrictions that come with rank. Staying unpromoted gave him the freedom to act however he wanted. One thing was clear: if they openly denounced the world government, they would disappear. So instead of actively fighting against the world government or quitting the Marines, they created Sword. Sword does not follow the world government's orders. In fact, I would argue it operates almost exactly like the Revolutionary Army. When Roger asked Garp to stop being a Marine and join him as a pirate, Garp replied, "Who will protect the Marines?" In Marineford, Whitebeard called him an old soldier, not a Marine, almost like Revolutionary Army soldier. Garp clearly sees Marines as his comrades, not as government tools. This is why he rejected promotions over and over. And this is also why Kuzan eventually understood that there are things you can only see when you are independent. Remember Blackbeard's line to Aokiji, "You are a free man, what do you want, Kuzan?" If Kuzan had answered that he wanted to destroy the world government, their interests would align perfectly. Because, like his teacher Garp, Aokiji sees the corruption in the current world government. He's deeply worried about the future of the Marines, and he knows they are in a terrible position. That is why he saved Smoker, a move that is exactly the kind of thing a Sword member would do. CP0 agents are the highest-ranking Cypher Pole operatives, assigned directly under the Celestial Dragons, the highest authority in the world. Their full organization name is Cypher Pole Aegis 0. Aegis means shield, the shield that protects the authority of the world government. And this is exactly why Garp named his new organization Sword. Its purpose is to cut the aegis that protects the government. As far as we know, the leader of Sword is Drake, but he's marked only as captain, which implies there are ranks above him. It also seems that most Marines know about Sword as an organization, but they have no idea who its members actually are. When Hina was speaking with Sengoku and Otsuru about Sword, She mentioned that Garp took sword members with him, including Kujaku, but later we find out that Kujaku is a sword member. So Hina knew sword existed, and she knew some members, but she did not know Kujaku was part of it. Aokiji also had no idea that Kobe was a sword member, even though he was an admiral and extremely close to Garp. If Aokiji himself is a sword member, which is very likely, then that means even inside sword, not all members know each other. And look at Kizaru. Even though he was a marine admiral, he didn't hesitate to attack Drake like he was a regular pirate. Another sign that sword identities are hidden even from upper marine command. This makes perfect sense. If sword wants to remain independent and hidden, the best strategy is to keep the identities of its members secret, from the marines and even from each other. Remember the scene where Kobe spoke with Drake. He separated from the other marines, making sure nobody overheard him. That is exactly how a covert cell-based organization operates. But now the question is, how do the revolutionaries and sword connect? Drake's ship is named the Liberal Hind. Liberal means freedom. Dragon's ship is named the Wind Granma. Both ships use black and red color schemes. And here's the crucial detail. Wind Granma is named after La Granma, the ship Che Guevara used when transporting revolutionaries into Cuba. Before Dragon created the Revolutionary Army, his group was called the Freedom Fighters, and both Drake's flag and Dragon's original Freedom Fighters flag features sword on it. The Revolutionary Army flag color is red, with the black dragon symbol on them, and Drake's epithet is Red Heart, from the Red Heart Pirates. It was also Drake who captured Caribou, who looks almost exactly like Che Guevara. So, the revolutionaries are deeply associated with the color red. And this links directly to Drake. Now, let's talk about something important: red and blue. These two colors appear everywhere in One Piece, especially in recent chapters. In fact, red and blue show up all over shonen anime and manga. And their symbolism is deeply tied to Japanese history and culture. During the Genpei War, two samurai clans fought each other. The Minamoto clan, also known as Genji, carried red banners. The Taira clan, also called Heike, carried blue banners. This red versus blue rivalry became a famous part of Japanese culture. You also have the classic red Oni and blue Oni symbolism. In Shinto beliefs, red represents fire and blue represents water. Complete opposites. These ideas appear in countless anime and manga: Dragon Ball, Goku and Vegeta, Samurai Champloo, Mugen and Jin, Death Note, L and Kira, Evangelion, Asuka and Rei, Naruto and Sasuke, fire and water. This pattern continues constantly, and of course One Piece uses this symbolism too, starting with the recent Jump cover where we see Gunko and Shamrock with red and blue hair and wearing red and blue clothing. In One Piece, just like in Japanese storytelling tradition, red and blue are always clashing. Luffy and Douglas Bullet's fight also uses red and blue to represent their haki. Shanks and Buggy are another example. Total opposites. Dory and Broggy are literally a red and blue Oni pair. But here is the pattern. Even though these characters disagree on fundamental ideas, in shonen stories they often end up fighting on the same side. The clearest example is Garp and Roger. They are enemies. Garp represents navy blue. Roger represents red. When Oda was young, he worked under Nobuhiro Watsuki, the creator of Rurouni Kenshin. Oda respected him so much that he based Zoro on him and even gave Zoro the same name as the main character, Rurouni Kenshin, Roronoa Zoro, the Wandering Swordsman. Oda modeled Garp and the Marines after the Shinsengumi, who traditionally wore navy blue. Even Garp's attack is called Blue Hole. He modeled Roger after Watsuki's iconic character Kenshin, and even gave Roger an attack named Kagutsuchi. Kagutsuchi is the same attack used by Makoto Shishio, another character from Watsuki's story. Both are associated with the color red and with fire. But here is the important part. Red and blue always team up when a bigger threat appears. Sasuke and Naruto, Goku and Vegeta, Roger and Garp. And in One Piece there are two extremely important characters who fought each other over ideas. Akainu and Aokiji. Red and blue. The clearest possible representation. Despite how much the fandom hates Akainu, there is a very high possibility that these two are both members of SWORD, and when the time comes, despite their differences, they will fight together to topple the world government. I have already explained why Aokiji might be SWORD, but there is another detail. The sword tattoo on Akainu's shoulder, possible hint that Akainu is also a SWORD member, and it would also fit in red and blue narrative. And if we continue with the red and blue symbolism, I already mentioned that blue represents the Marines and red represents the revolutionaries. Now look at the symbol X Drake has on his ship. It is the fleur-de-lis, the coat of arms of France. It is literally a depiction of a lily flower. We even see the same pattern on the empty throne of the world government. And of course, there is the Nefertari lily connection and the lily flowers in Imu's garden. The empty throne itself visually represents the aegis and the swords surrounding it. And Marijoa in One Piece mirrors the real Marie-Joie Palace in France. The celestial dragons are modeled after European nobility, especially the French aristocracy. When we talk about revolution, the first country that comes to mind is France. And the French flag has three colors. Blue represents liberty. This matches the Marines in One Piece, and X-Drake's ship, Liberal Hind. It is associated with Garp and Sword. Red represents fraternity, a group of people united by shared beliefs, the blood of revolutionaries. Clearly associated with Dragon's revolutionary army and their red flag. White represents purity, peace and unity. It is the color of the monarch, the king, the sun god, who is white and is destined to bring the dawn to the world. Monkey D. Luffy. Blue, white and red are the colors of revolution, and they are the colors of France's flag. Sengoku's line makes total sense now. Garp, it is your family again. Without a doubt, the ones who will bring the final revolution will be the members of the Monkey D family, supported by Marines, revolutionaries and pirates. We have already seen this cooperation many times. Dragon protected Luffy in Locktown. Ivankov saved Luffy repeatedly. Drake killed a CP Aegis member with his sword in Wano. This would seem strange unless there was a connection between Garp and Drake. Both the revolutionaries and Sword are working from the shadows to ensure that Luffy does not fail. Lastly, Oda has always loved punk, rock and hip-hop. You can see it everywhere in One Piece and even in his interviews. Dragon Ash is a Japanese music band that was extremely popular during the same years Oda started writing One Piece. One of their most famous songs is called Viva la Revolution, which literally means long live the revolution. The phrase refers primarily to the French Revolution from 1789 to 1799. Dragon Ash even displays a huge fleur-de-lis during their live shows. Without a doubt, Oda drew inspiration from Dragon Ash and the French Revolution when creating the Revolutionary Army and Sword. Anyway, this video was very heavy on history and references, but I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you to everyone who commented on the last video and gave amazing tips. As always, like and subscribe and share your thoughts in the comments. If Oda does not drop anything crazy next weekend, I will finally release the Imu video, which will be very interesting. Thank you for watching and staying until the end.